Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So as a person that's been tasked with fixing things his entire life, I have a rather interesting, well, probably the most interesting Braze weld repair that I've ever seen to show you all. It's over here. And okay, in addition to this being the largest paper pulley I've ever seen in my life, this has to be, it's in excess of 3 feet across. I'm not even sure how many laminations are in here. There's a lot. Yeah, that is a paper pulley. Anyhow, we've got, this looks like a stationary steam power generating engine. So it looks like we've got the steam valve up in here. This says vapor tight valve and piston rings, Baker Valve Company, Minneapolis, Minnesota. So pretty sure that's your steam valve that puts steam power to one side of the piston or the other, turns these gigantic wheels, flywheels. But I want to show you, look at this braze weld right here. It's like that wide. I bet it's better than 6 inches across. So not only did we break this piece off, this looks like it's the governor to me. We broke this end off as well, and it almost looks like this has been repaired twice. We've got a brazing line that goes about here, and we've got a very different style of braze weld that goes all the way up around that bore, down around here. In addition to that, this rod, which is bent now, and I think this might have broke during maybe moving or removing it, but this was also braze welded about the same time, and this looks like the same braze welding as this one and this one. So I'm guessing one person did there, and right there, and then later on someone else did this, because it's almost like a signature. You got the tighter lines here, and you've got the wider beads right here. But looking at the way this would work, so this whole mechanism pivots right here, okay, but center line of the flywheel is down here. It acts upon this gigantic leaf spring pack right here, so that's your limiter. And we have, it looks like a low speed stop here, and what would be, it would hinge up to a high speed stop right here. And the faster this moved, I have to believe the further out between this weight and this weight, the further out this arm would pivot like that, and it would start acting against the spring, pushing it down. And the further out this rotates, because it's rotating here, that means this hub right here that this rod is on that goes up to the valve, the faster it goes, the further this would rotate to put this axis in line with the main flywheel axis. So basically, the faster this goes, the more it compresses that spring, the shorter your steam valve stroke gets on this rod, because this is getting closer and closer to that center axis, so you get less and less movement all the time. And of course, as that is going around on its eccentric, it's floating this rod back and forth that used to be straight, hooks to this lever right here. That back and forth transmits to a back and forth like this, and that's what's operating your steam valve, putting steam to one side of the piston or the other. So the faster we go, the shorter the stroke in this rod, the shorter the stroke on the valve, the less steam gets supplied to the piston, slows the engine down, if that makes any sense. But I'm just trying to visualize what this thing would do if it suddenly decided it was going to lose this half, this end of the governor arm and this end of the governor arm, possibly at the same time. Would she just take off, or would it quit running? Because we don't have any kind of a movement on your steam valve anymore. It is hard to say. But one interesting thing I noticed, this is on kind of a Heim joint, kind of a rotating ball joint, so it's not just perfectly in line like that, because as you get down here to this arm, you're going to have a little bit of a swing out and then in, out and then in as it goes back and forth. It's not just completely straight. So that's why we needed to put a ball pivot right here, so it can kind of cope with a little bit of that, as well as doing this at the same time. Just a whole lot of monkey motion going on here. But they've always said that a good braze weld is stronger than the material, than the cast that it's on, and I'd believe it, because you can see when this broke a second time, that weld did not break at all. That's all cast iron. So the weld was indeed stronger than that arm. So just wanted to show you all this. I thought it was kind of neat to look at. Just envisioning the preheat, the welding, the post-heat, everything that went in. I mean, that's substantial, and it's all the way around. They basically refilled that entire arm all the way around with braze weld a couple different times. Really neat.